4.
One.
Ding! Live! Welcome to the Flory Models, Phil, Sid, and Steve show. Good evening, everybody. Yes, we're back, and Lollop, who's just come in as well. Right, the dog's even in. It is actually a bit of excitement and everything else. So yes, we're here as ever. We've got Steve with us as well, in glorious HD.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, Steve. Steve's recovered after travelling all the way back up north.
Bless them.
Oh, you've got your sound on, haven't you?
I didn't mute yet.
God, there's always one.
No,
So how come it made a sound?
I don't know.
That's clever.
Yeah, I know. It's good, isn't it?
Dear Apple.
Yeah.
So obviously we had our bit of a bash this weekend. Most of you have probably seen the photos, and yeah, it was a bit of quite a night really, or Friday night, wasn't it?
It was entertaining.
It was entertaining for the comedy value alone. If you haven't seen it, have a look in the forum under the announcements and in the barbecue. There's a couple of photos in there of a certain member who has sat here once or twice. But this time he was looking particularly gorgeous.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. Good pair of legs. So now he managed in his heels, I'll never know.
Oh, it's just so funny every time you heard a bit of a stumble, you saw the wide stance, arms out, way.
And he was all right. He was good to go again.
Off he went again.
Bless him. So well done to Adam as well. We had a particularly nice time. And then obviously we had the big barbecue on Saturday, which, true to form, I touched the gas to turn it on the barbecue, and no, God, it bloody rained. I only had my hand on it, and the stupid thing was, when I took my hand off, it stopped. So, you know, and anyway, we got past it, but that was all right. I'm cursed, absolutely. Sorry to the traffic, well, not to the traffic, to the people stuck in the traffic, because quite frankly, some of you had a particular nightmare coming down.
Yeah, so I heard.
So 5.5 hours for somebody who normally takes 2. So, not brilliant. So, sorry about that. But we did have a good time.
We did. And
I certainly had the alcohol sweats. 2 days on the belt. Of course, Saturday I wasn't particularly brilliant, but 10:30 on Saturday morning I was like, whew. And then Sunday as well, and everything else. So yes, but no, apart from that, very good weekend. Was had by it all. Poor old Stevie travelled a long old distance to come down.
He did indeed.
He did, all the way down here to sunny Devon, and then we took him out to the highlight of what is Trago Mills. Everybody in the southwest will know that one. No, the rest of the world won't, but they won't know what they're missing out on.
Well, if they Google it, they can.
Is it on Google?
I suppose it should be. Yeah, they've got a website.
Yeah. Think of like Disneyland Paris. Not quite on a par with Florida, but
or as one of our members says, Janet Disney.
Janet Disney, absolutely. So yes, had quite a time around that. Spent a small fortune. But no, it was great to see you all over the weekend and everything else. Apologies for any hangovers that were caused. Not my fault. Usual thing, post up your questions. I know lots of you have tonight already, and we'll get through as many as we possibly can. And like that. So as you say, really last week I didn't do much because I was preparing for the weekend. Alcohol preparation. No, it wasn't quite that bad.
I don't know what you're preparing for.
Yeah, whether that hit.
It was a doddle.
Yeah, changing the house. There's a lot of you saw. I cleared up the studio, which is looking very good. Yeah, so, and there's my new cabinets, which are got nothing in yet. Still got nothing to put in them, but I will do. So it won't take long. So
I'm sure we can find something to put in it.
Yeah, no, be absolutely fine.
We've got to go through your cupboards yet, so you never know.
Yeah, probably. Could fill it up with a lot of the one that's in front of you.
You could.
Absolutely. So that'd be good. So yes. So you, what have you been up to?
Me,
a lot
of work. Obviously, that was finished a while ago.
But you've only just bothered to bring it in.
But somebody asked, a couple of people asked over the weekend about it, so I thought I'd bring it in to show that it actually is finished.
It does exist.
It does.
Is it water dry yet?
Yeah, just.
Oh no, fingerprint.
It was just unfortunate that I wasn't able enough to get all the pictures up and loaded before the actual cut-off day. But yeah, no, it's finished. And I've done, spent about 2-3 hours on me Airfix Land Rovers. So that's Land Rover.
Right.
On, I think it was Sunday evening. So yeah.
Busy.
Off again this weekend. Well, I say this weekend, Friday and Saturday, because me at the arse having a hot.
Yeah. So
I should be nursing her from me spare room.
Yeah, that's right. You were, from where? I'll be there in a minute. I'm holding a bit.
I'll give her a bell.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. You won't hear.
Exactly.
That's it. Absolutely. That's it. It's got no clanger in it. Stuff in there.
It's not working. It is. I can hear it. It's not working.
Your hearing can't hear it. So yes, very good.
So yes, I plan on doing a bit of on Friday and Saturday, and I'll also start the twin-tailed slideshow.
Brilliant.
As well, because that one's finished now.
Yes.
So
You did absolute blinder because it was on last night's vlog. I don't know, have I made it live yet as a standalone? I don't think I have yet.
Don't know, but
it is up
on
there.
the vlog.
I will make it live tomorrow or tonight after the show, but the actual is a standalone of the video as well. With all your great work for that one, absolutely fantastic.
And so I've caught up with the group build. That was done.
Yeah.
Managed to finish that actually on when we came for the barbecue.
Yeah, you actually finished it at the barbecue, I was told. Yeah, that was good. I wonder what you're doing on a laptop. I didn't realise you were finishing it there.
Somebody said, you're not doing your work. I said, no. Well, I said, yeah, it's Flory stuff.
Oh, right. I did wonder what you were doing hunched over a laptop for a little bit.
So finishing off the last little bit and then obviously saving it onto the flash drive so that you could use it, stick it on yours. So, yeah, so it was all right.
Very good.
Bit of a challenge because, again, it was... couple of the pictures were in a different format, and for some reason I couldn't pick them out of the forum. Yeah. So I had to email. I think it was about 3 people, which they were kind enough to give me some pictures back. So yeah, hopefully it should be okay. Fantastic.
No, very good. It's like 15-minute.
It was quite a
ice cream break in the middle.
It was certainly a long one.
It's like 3 seconds a photo, 2 for each one, and it's still 15 minutes long. That's how many people took part, which worries me. But that's why I've ordered like 100 medals, isn't it? I think it is, and all the stuff that's going to go with them.
206 photos. And that's 103. I think that completed.
Yeah. And I must admit, I have picked the winners.
Oh, okay.
I did it. I just got on with it like Sonic. So I have picked, and I've actually bought from my hard-earned cash 3 kits as well, which are to go with it. So the prizes first, second, and third get a kit plus the badge plus the medal. So yes,
splendid.
So there's all lots of things to come with that. And as I say, by the end of the week, I'm hoping tomorrow they'll be ready. I can pop over to Torquay and get them tomorrow.
Yep.
I've been told they'll be ready, so I can go get them. As soon as they're in, I'll be in contact, get all your details, and we are good to go.
Splendid.
So fantastic.
We'll be folding them up, putting them in.
Yeah, doing it again. Yeah. Yeah, next Tuesday we'll be here doing it again. So we do it on the live show. That's it, absolutely. So Steve, what have you been up to? Apart from coming down here.
Yeah, apart from going down there. Well, I've spent a lot of the time since the last show cleaning a model that's gone to a very famous museum.
Oh, go on, you can say it, can't you?
Yeah, well, yeah. I think so. Yeah, it's gone to Bovington.
I was going to say, if you can't say it, I will. Then I'll get in trouble.
Yeah, yeah, it's gone to Bovington for the exhibition this summer in autumn time. So I had to get that deep cleaned and do a couple of repairs on it. And I've just been sorting out my next project, which has got to be the Abrams assault breach vehicle. So I've just been getting stuff ready to get that started, which should be tomorrow.
Is that like one of those marine ones that you see going through walls in Afghanistan?
Yeah, it's big marine one.
In the front.
Yeah, it launches a big rocket with a load of high explosive behind it to clear a path.
Yeah, have you seen the video on YouTube for that one? There's a video on YouTube, and it actually has 2 Abrams, and they both fire it, and it's up like a quite a wooded area, if you like. It's obviously like a stream system through. It's quite a thing, and they both fire it. And when this sort of goes off, the shockwave, you can see it go off through the fields as well, each side of it. It's quite an impressive one, that. So it's on the. If you're on YouTube, just put in daily military log or something like that, and it's on one of their videos, and they have some good ones. If you're on my Facebook, just follow the link I put up. So I put up one about the B1 Lancers today, so it's a very good video of high altitude B1 Lancers.
Right.
And it's not your crap footage. This is the proper stuff, real McCoy stuff. So definitely. But yes, but no, very interesting subject.
So when the other one's snoring tonight, I'll be able to read. I'll be able to watch it.
Yeah, that's it, absolutely. So anything else, Steve?
No, that's it really. Since
That's it.
I've been very quiet, yeah.
So I hear you went shopping at Trago's though.
Oh, I did. That's a legendary place. Never seen anything like it.
Did you get lost?
Nearly. But Phil were doing his tour guide with an umbrella, and then just...
That's it. I'm like, follow me, everyone, through soft furnishings. We didn't actually. We were there for like, I don't know, 2.5 hours. But all we did was tools, because I think we were there for like an hour.
Right.
And then we made it up through the middle bit, where you've got like the clothes, toys, sporting goods, art, books, and all of that. and then through soft furnishings, and we got to a little bit of the actual the garden centre without going outside and all the rest of it. So we never actually went outside or did the rest of Trago, you know. So, but I did give them the full thing. On the way back, we went via carpets, kitchens, plumbing. So they have seen it all pretty much. But yeah, just to say, if it's one of these places where you go, it's like a shopping centre, but it's one company. But you can buy anything from a screw to a house. And they've even got motorbikes now on the wall where you buy a bike off the wall. So it's like Walmart on steroids. It's a private little company that do it. They've got 3 branches in the southwest of England, but it's one of those things you have to see it to believe it.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
So, but no, it is very, very good.
I quite enjoy joining the Trago.
Yeah, I know, it's very good. It's the house that Trago built this place. I get it all from there. So very good. Right, so there we go. So if we get on with a few of the questions,
Okie dokie.
work our way through.
Right then, so the first one is from Glenn. Hi Phil, Sid and Steve. I hope all is well in Flory land. My question is, which manufacturer does the best 135th Mervaka MBT?
Merkava main battle tank. God's Chariot. I know I've seen the program on it.
Well, there you go.
I could say mine, but I'm going to let Steve do his.
Oh, definitely.
Go on, Steve, who do you think?
Well, depends on which variant. For the Mark IV, I'd go with Academy. Mark III, I'd go with Meng. And I believe Mark II is Hobby Boss.
So there we go. So really, it does depend on the mark you're actually doing. But yeah, that's good advice on that. Because the Meng one is nice because Hans did his and Steve's obviously done his Meng one. Both done Meng ones. I did the Hobby Boss one.
That's why I've started it. It's in primer stage.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, a bit further than started if you're in primer, unless you've primed it on the sprue.
No, I did get to the primer bit, and then it sort of got to the ball and chain bit, and I've sort of got waylaid.
Yeah, that is a particular ball ache, quite frankly.
Because especially when you try and say there wasn't enough chain and stuff to go with it as well.
No, it's not that chain.
So I went out and bought some chain and other bits to go with it.
24 karat gold?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But by that time, obviously, you had finished your build, and I sort of got lagged behind, and I will get around to finishing it off.
Very good.
Personally, I'd go with the one of the Meng Mark III ones because they're ball and chain. They've done it in plastic, and with careful weathering, it does look spot on. So, and it just saves you faffing around for hours, all these little balls running off everywhere and splitting chains. So I'll go with that option.
Yeah, I must admit, it does look nice, and it does sort of work a bit.
It does.
Where's mine? Mine's probably in 4 tons of dust. But I'll get it out because I have to, because it's the only time it ever sees daylight.
He's going to get it out, it's all going to fall apart.
But yeah, it is. Look at that natural dusty weathering. But yeah, it's you know, I think it works quite well. But as you say, even with that, the ball and chain to get it all the same height as the real thing is a particular flap, and you can see mine aren't. So having it just by plastic and you stick it on, you weather it, you don't notice any difference. I know a couple of people said to me, yeah, but it's nice because it moves. You know, unless you're going to go on flicking at your finger, who cares?
Exactly.
So, you know, from that point of view, it's not.
And from the instructions, from what I remember reading on the instructions before I put it away, it's not 100% clear on where you stick the photo etch bit for the ball and chain to stick fixed to.
True.
So I think that was one of the other reasons that I put it to one side.
Yeah.
So I couldn't work out exactly where it goes. So
I have to say though, it's still the best looking tank on the planet. You know, it is absolutely.
It certainly looks like a tank.
It does, doesn't it? It's what tanks should look like. You know, very futuristic, very, you know, and all the rest of it. It's a good looking tank, that is.
Splendid.
You know, looks won wars and the net of wins. Absolutely. So we like that. Okie dokie.
Number 3 is from Simon. Look like I'm second in tonight's fun and games.
He's changed that because I read that earlier and he said I'm first.
I've got it I'm first on my screen.
Oh yeah, because on mine it says I'm second, but I've noticed he has edited it, so he's changed it quick, and then because nobody's refreshed. Yeah, so we're okay.
Good evening, gents. My question tonight is: I'm currently building the Rebel 747 carrying the space shuttle kit, and I have recently applied Flory dark dirt wash onto the white fuselage of the 747. It appears to have become ingrained into the texture of the paint in areas, and is impossible to remove, no matter how much water I find into.
This is the only camera angle where I can get this all on.
What is the best way to get rid of it? If I repaint it, I will lose my decals. Simon.
Right. Okay. Obviously, what it is, it's caught in the texture of your actual paintwork, which is why I've got this one. Because to be honest, if you watch this bit, which I think is up already, or if it's not, it will be Wednesday. I had the same bit of trouble on a particular piece of wing here. Literally, I had a little patch right here on this one, and what happened was, God, it moved then, like Jesus. And what happened is that it obviously gets caught in the texture, and you couldn't get it off. Simple way I actually do it is a little bit of airbrush cleaner. So don't come in there with like thinners, but airbrush cleaner. There we go. A little bit of airbrush cleaner and a sponge. Okay, so all I do is squirt a bit of airbrush cleaner onto the cutting mat, soak it up a little bit, circular motions, and it will physically absorb the wash out of it without rubbing it. So it will pull it off the top, okay, and you'll be good to go. But mine did it, and I had a little patch here, and I think I explained on the actual video, and I do say in there that's how I did it to get rid of it, because it came off everywhere. But you can actually see on this one, there's different textures. Some of it's more textured than others. The wash just gets caught in that texture and doesn't actually come off. It's the trouble when you're using on over a flat surface or a semi-gloss, okay? But as you say, a sponge with a little bit of airbrush cleaner. The airbrush cleaner's got enough bite to actually get it moving, and then obviously the sponge pulls it upwards in a way instead of just trying to scrape it around, and that should stop the problem. So yeah, shall I turn it on?
Go on then. Oh. Just don't break it.
Hi baby, did you come here? All right. The thing is, I did experiment with a little ball bearing, and it's like a metal ball bearing in a tube, and that's how you turn it on and off. But quite frankly, it didn't work. Well, it did work, but it's just that sometimes it works, shall we say. Okay, so there we go. Are we flashing? We should be flashing.
Flashing underneath.
It's flashing, well, flashing on top. We've got nav lights. If I poof this off, hopefully the camera can see.
It's flashing on the end.
We're flashing on the end. Which does work very nice down through these.
That's what I did at the weekend.
It does work well.
Good effect.
I experimented with a couple of things. At one point, it's like 2 lightsabers coming out the bottom. It's like a rear defense prop from Firefox or something. But so anyway, we elected to go this way, and I've toned them down just a little bit, and it goes up like that. So yes, it's just one of those things. Like, how do you actually display this thing? So what is it? It looks great at different angles. If I have it far enough behind us, we'll be all right. We won't like walk into it. So there we go. Admittedly, the base is temporary. It'll be all right. When it's on its proper one, we'll be okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. And you know what? I left it running, flashing for 2 days. Still going, so that battery works an absolute treat.
I noticed it was on when we was here at the weekend.
Yeah, good. See? Perfect.
Splendid.
Lovely job. So yeah, try that and you'll be fine. It'll work. It'll come out.
Post 4 is from Peter Field. Evening, gents. Looks like the weekend went well, with lots of lovely ladies attending, especially the blonde bird with a beard.
What are you saying about Mel? I don't know what you mean. I've told her to have a shave before, but sometimes she doesn't listen. What can I say?
I'm so surprised he's not banging on the floor now.
She's obviously not watching. Oh, wait for it to delay.
Oh, yeah. Just added an extra review of the Steinerets.
It's Steinel Res.
Steinel Res and Model Flex paint to Wayne's review. The Badger primer works fine on plastic soldiers, and Model Flex paint works good as well. Just need to see what thins them both the best. My buying mojo's in full swing, but lots of nice things on advanced order. Just need the building mojo to join in, and I'm well away. Mind you, watching the stuff melt in the halogen oven is fun.
Oh yes, we're what we're doing it. Set all alight. All good stuff.
Number 5 is Ian Smith. Good afternoon, evening, lads, and everyone in Floryland. On the weekend, I tried to spray Mr. Colour Lacquer, mixed 50-50 with Mr. Colour Thinner, and sprayed it at 20 to 22 psi, and I was not happy with the results. What would be the best thinning ratio and pressure to use at this, or use for this?
Have you sprayed it, Steve?
Oh, that's
Because I haven't. That's the trouble.
that one, which is the lacquer. No, I haven't. I've got a bottle to try.
Does he mean the lacquer paint or the lacquer, just clear lacquer? Because I've got the lacquers as well. Here is mine.
Just says Mr. Colour Lacquer.
Because yeah, I've got them as well.
Mixed with thinner.
So it's that thing. To me, what colour have you got? 333.
334.
Oh, I've got 331. But no, the thing is, if you have a look at my, what did I do it on? Jaguar Tornado, isn't it? Tornado or Jaguar? One of them. I used this particular colour on it, and I just treat it as you would exactly the same using self-leveling thinners, which is this stuff. Okay. And I think it's just standard 50-50 mix and spray it, no problem at all. Just remember, it is a lacquer, so it's going to take slightly longer to dry. Some people think they dry quicker. Touch to surface touch, they dry quicker, but it takes longer for them to go off internally. Okay, but I must admit, I have never had a problem with those. I don't know if he means like a clear lacquer, though, that will look at anything, or just lacquer paint in general.
I think he means Mr. Colour Lacquer, which is the Mr. Colour.
Yeah.
I reckon it's that one.
Yeah, that's it. I must admit, I do like this stuff. I've got the one with the flat top, which if you've always wondered why you've got a slot in your opener, that's what it's for. And I'll tell you what, another reason, I'm on the phone today, okay, because I've been using it today. And everyone says to me about these bloody stupid pots because they don't stand up. It's not like a normal cap because it's on an edge, because it's on a blade. So when you put it on your cat mat, it falls over. Ah, see, not just a hat rack, that sits in there just like that. And then you can use your stuff. See? Full of ideas and tips.
Not just a pretty face.
Personally, that's not my idea, though. I think it's the person who invented it probably came up with it before me. But no one will know that.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, it's lovely paint to use, and I'd use it all the time. But it's the smell. Try and avoid the lacquers. I don't like particularly using this stuff, but it is brilliant. But I don't try and.
Well, so after you said it was so brilliant, so I went out and bought some, and then you turned and said that you're not using it because of the smell.
Yeah, but that's only because I'm doing it all my life, and I don't want to, like, go and smoke. You know.
Second part is that I got some primer last week, and I tried.
You skipped the Stynal Res. Go on, say it. Come on.
Stynal Res.
Stynal Res.
Primer last week, and I tried it on unwashed resin, and it sticks with no problems. But this was just a test. For Canadian members, I got mine from Meeblemart.
Meeblemart, but they don't fall in.
Quick service and decent prices. Just a happy customer. Cheers, beers, and young deers.
Young deers? Can you say that?
I don't know.
Sounds a bit early.
Post 6 is from David. It's his first.
I'll do this one if you want.
Okay.
Because it involves me. Oh, so I might as well own up.
I'll let you.
And I can explain it better.
I'll let you crack on then.
It is. Welcome, David. New member as well.
Indeed.
Hi all. Simple question. Low battery. Oh, no, that's my phone. Simple question is, I've noticed Bill using green parallel friction clamps. Are these clamps readily available? If so, where can I buy them from? It's funny you mention that. You mean these brilliant tools, which I do love. Now, the full story is to this, and it's an old one, and everybody else knows. I'm sorry, it's just literally you. One of the members mentioned it on the forum. I went out and bought a couple of sets, admittedly 3 or 4 sets, wasn't it? I think I gave one away as a prize. It was a prize. And then literally, as soon as it was mentioned on the forum, everybody went out and bought one, and then we found out they've been discontinued. The company who do it all, this German company, don't do them anymore. But there is a thing going on in the forum. Have a look in the forum. I'm sure one of the guys involved with it will get in contact with you. They're trying to put together an order that's big enough to do a production run of this. Now, as I pointed out, it's not something ourselves as Flory Models as a company want to get involved with. So it's going to be like a private venture with the members. Okay, so, and that is going on. And there were some you know, I don't know what the minimum was, but we must be near it now to do the run. So that is what is going on in the forum. I'm sure one of the guys will jump in and speak to you about it. I can't remember who's involved with it off the top of my head, but yeah, a couple of the guys on the forum were talking about it, and that's what it is. But unfortunately, it's one of these things that's probably been around for years and nobody took any notice of it. And then I love these things. They are just so good. You just chuck them anywhere. They just clamp down, hold different types of pressure you can put in there as well. You can get in all the angles, and because it's got the foam, you can get on some difficult angles and different areas, and they work really, really well. And it's a shame they're not readily available. So, but beware going online where it says in stock, because trust me, if they were, they wouldn't be there anymore. But as I say, there is a thing on the forum about it. There's a guys, and I know there was a minimum order. They were looking into it, and they were trying to get feedback from members to put in a minimum order at cost, and doing it that way.
Okie dokie.
So there we go. And welcome, David.
Indeed.
Sorry we can't get your club. It's not mine, actually. I didn't mention it first on the forum. Somebody else did.
It's a Flory effect again.
It is. It's a Flory effect strikes.
Post 7 is from John. Hi, guys. My question has to with ordnance and masking, firstly, the ordnance question. I have seen on some models that the modeler has weathered bombs and rockets. If the model is built gears down and is pre-sortie, then ordnance should be in pristine condition. If it is post-sortie, then the racks should be empty. Pilots, especially in World War II, would jettison unused ordnance before landing, so they would not explode on landing. With the advances in technology, it was made safer for the pilot to return with unused ordnance. From roughly what year era did they stop jettisoning unused bombs? I'm building a Douglas A1J Sky Raider for the Red versus Blue group build from 1969 Vietnam War, and would like to know if they would had returned with any ordnance. So that's the first part.
I don't know about the Sky Raider. I think it probably would. I don't think the Sky Raider had a problem with the takeoff weights. A lot of it also wasn't so much to do with bringing back weapons and blowing up. There's a lot of them being able to land with weapons on board. Because I know for the B-52, during the first Gulf War, were dumping them in the English Channel on the return back that they weren't using when they were landing back in the UK, because they didn't like bringing back used bombs. But also it's to do with the landing weight and all the rest of it. They don't want to come back with too much weight. And obviously aircraft couldn't come back because they have to have a landing weight, and they have to be in a certain level. That's why they dump fuel to land, so they're all at the correct weights. So there is that to it. When they did and didn't stop it and all the rest of it, because obviously modern aircraft don't have a problem with weights and landings now, so they just bring it all back. But when they actually changed, I'm not too sure. Steve, do you have any ideas?
No, I don't. Not on when it changed at all.
Yeah.
They're going on to about the weathered bombs and rockets. Even nowadays, if you look at US Navy, when they're loading them up on the carriers, they've got all writing over them. There is chips, and
Oh yeah,
they are all dirty and mucky, and so they could have returned. Then they'll take them to bits and then reassemble them depending on what the next mission is, and so on. So not
yeah, absolutely. You look at modern aircraft now, you look at any of the videos on YouTube, all the bombs are really particularly kicked in and weathered, as you say, because I think they get kicking around so long. And as you say, they go on aircraft, they're taken off of aircraft, they're de-armed and all the rest of it. The kits are taken off of them and then put back in storage and all the rest of it. So it'd be interesting to, if we've got anybody, I know I've got a friend of mine who's pretty much up on this on Facebook, who actually does this as a living. He's an aircraft armourer in the US Navy. So I don't know, I could ask him, he might know the history of it all. But yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. If any members obviously know about it, shout it up in the thread and we can answer it. I should think land-based aircraft, like the Sky Raider, the land-based one, probably would bring it back. Navy stuff, probably dump it for that era. Can't imagine them bringing back heavy weapons load. It's not so much the actual landing, it's the weight of it trying to be trapped on the hook, just without snapping the cables, it's too heavy. So yeah, definitely an interesting subject that's probably a lot more complicated than we're capable of
Very-
thinking about.
Very good question.
It is. It's a very good question, that.
Too educated for us.
It is.
Second part, this brings me nicely to masking, as during my group build for the group build, I had a few minor problems with paint peeling and flaking when the masking tape was removed. Is there any way to combat this? I used Tamiya tape and I did detack on the palm of my hand. Could it be a problem with the primer? How do you deal with ridges formed once the tape is removed? Sorry it's long-winded. Love the live shows and the daily vlogs. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. Right, there's a simple and easy way to paint weapons, which I have covered before. This was my little kit that I bought off of Fleabay for, I don't know, $4.99. And as you can see, it's every single O-ring you could ever want. There is a video somewhere. If you put in the search on the site, it will come up with it because I've done it before. But I've got O-rings, which are tiny little ones down here, you see, right the way up to massive things. And I paint the bomb yellow completely for the striping, all right, or blue if you're doing it as a nert and all the rest of it, okay. Then I give it its top, put the rubber seal, roll it into position because it will cling, okay. And then all you do is then spray it green. If you're doing like a World War II, your standard sort of one, modern stuff obviously being grey. And everything else, and then let it dry and then roll it out the way. You'll get a perfect band even on a curve. Now, I didn't do it on this one purely because I couldn't get it over the fin kit because the fin kit on these weapons are part of it. Okay, and then when I tried to get it over the back end and do it, I couldn't get it over because it was then too loose on it. But if you've got a standard bomb that doesn't have the fin kit on the front, you can then put it on afterwards, which is where I've done it in other videos and shown on normal snake eyes, older bombs, things like that. You can do it. These, to be honest, are decals, and I just put them on with plenty of paint thinners on top to melt the little gits into position. But as for all the other weapon ones, the actual sidewinders and stuff like that, to be honest, I've just used masking tape, and then I put the band, the yellow and the blue and all the rest of it, and the brown for the rocket motors, all went in afterwards. So did it all grey, and then I put those in afterwards. But if you're doing a bomb with a yellow, that way as well, in real life, they're not a perfect sharp line. There is a little bit of fading and stuff like that, and it gives you a better looking bomb, if I'm honest.
Oh, I must admit, I bought that as well.
Did you do that when we got them in? Because I say, it's something like $4.99 here, delivered.
Definitely.
For every single size of O-ring you've got, and it goes literally from 6mm to 58mm, this one does, and they're on eBay and they're stupidly cheap.
Yeah.
But for doing bombs, it is so much easier and quicker, and it looks a lot more realistic as well. So, yes.
Indeed.
Move around this way now. Look.
Poke yourself in the eye.
Yeah, wait for it. It's all right. Shame the camera doesn't sort of focus on him, bless him. I'll stick him like that.
Post 8 is Mr. Buller. Hi, John.
Evening, John.
Evening, guys. Was great to see everyone at the weekend. Think I've just about recovered now. Boy, those Yorkshire lads can drink. Oh, I don't know about
No, they can.
that.
The little quiet folk, like the Tetley tea folk, but Jesus, can they stick it in them?
Oh, dear. That was the wrong phrase to use.
And that's not getting at Keith looking like a Tetley tea folk. But quite frankly, his flat cap, I'm going to buy one of them brown jackets and call him Kappa.
I can imagine that.
Yeah, that's it.
Post 9 is Ian Smith again. He says, hi again, lads. A question about spraying red. I'm presently painting a 1/72 Tamiya FW190 D9 in JV44 markings with the red underside. And when I put my first coat of Tamiya XF7 red on last night, it was very translucent, 50-50 mix. Do I just need to build up the coats or put a brown red primer underneath the colour coat? Cheers, beers and young beats.
Depends what type of red you're going for. If you're going for a strong striking red, you're going to want a white base coat, because then you build up the colour and it'll give you a deep, lustful red. Okay, and that is true for any type of like a light blue and stuff like that, because that way you get a deeper, more luxurious red, okay, and do it that way. If you're doing a sort of just you want a bit of red, then yeah, you can go over anything. These, if it's translucent in colour, it means you haven't actually got enough paint involved. Okay, so you can do the old trick that I do, and that is to literally hit it with almost a neat coat of red paint, so it sticks like piggy to a blanket all over, very thick, very heavy. Then come in there with a very highly thinned coat afterwards, which will give you a more of a satin look to it, and it will help sort of self-level itself out and all the rest of it. But that's what I say. It's a bit like when I say about painting white, spraying almost a neat coat is your first one. Second one's a 50-50 mix. The last one's a really wet mix, more thinners, and that way you end up with a nice coat, but it covers it extremely well and very, very fast. Unless you do it any other way, Steve?
No, I just like that.
Sold. Right.
Yeah.
Next. Yeah, love it when it's like that.
Post tennis from Malcolm. Hello everyone at Flory Towers and at home. Could you explain reboxing, why it happens and what it means for modelers? Again, the barbecue was.
I could do loads of examples because I've got a load. Yeah. You know, he's got my legs out tonight.
I've got mine out as well.
I know. Yeah, but could you put some trousers on? Wear some pants, for God's sake, man.
Well, I do apologise.
Limbo. Okay, reboxing. God, who was the original company? Tarangus, wasn't it?
Yeah, Tarangus.
Yes, sorry, I couldn't remember who it was for a minute. What tends to happen is you'll get various companies who somewhat share development in a lot of cases, but in other cases, they'll literally approach a manufacturer and say, we want to put a few little extras in there and sort of, you know, call it our own, but it's all under license. Some of them are more open than others about it, and they'll literally put on the box, it was originally a such and such kit by somebody else and various things like that. Some of them are a little bit more sneaky and won't mention it. For instance, this is a Tarangus kit in here completely, but Special Hobby have put in with it a little bit of photo etch for the cockpit. So that's take care of that problem. The other thing as well, sometimes reboxing works out a lot cheaper. So for instance, this kit is 10 quid cheaper than the original that doesn't come with the photo etch. So it's a little bit weird like that. Okay, so you can sort of shop around with it. Kinetic do a lot of reboxing with Italeri. Okay, so for instance, I've got it under, I can't get it out, it's like, you know, concertinaed in, but I've got the F16 down there, which is the DG DJ version, which is actually the Kinetic kit, but it's Italeri and it's a lot cheaper. Hawkeyes as well. Kinetic released a series of Hawkeye aircraft, different versions of it. Italeri reboxed it, i.e. put it in their box, and they put all three versions in one box with all the markings. Okay, so you've got the 2000 variant with the different blades and all the rest of it. So sometimes it does work out better to have the rebox. A couple of exceptions to the rule. Academy have brought out the Phantom. This is the J, I've got the B over there sitting in the stash and all the rest of it. And then people like Edard have come along and they're reboxing this kit, but Edard are putting their own series of extras into it as well, their own photo etch, their own decals, their own resin parts as well. So in some ways, if you're going to use all those parts, they're definitely the way to go because it works out cheaper than buying them all individually. So certainly there is, you know, a lot of pluses for reboxing because it does tend to be a little bit cheaper. To be honest, I've got a delivery coming in tomorrow, which I've got in there, which has got the Edard's rebox of the Hasegawa scooter, the Skyhawk, which is a lovely kit as well, and it's got all the bits and pieces to go with it. So I'll probably build that at some point because it's a really nice one and works out quite good. So reboxing isn't the end of the world, and I pretty much just trying to think who doesn't do it, but Revel do a lot of it. A lot of their stuff is reboxed Hasegawa. Some of it's really old stuff like Matchbox, admittedly, and you can get caught on some of this. But as you say, if you're a little bit buyer beware, do a little bit of research first, and you should go. But sometimes, like this one, for instance, it's 10 quid cheaper than the original. You know, with an added bit. Okay, so from that point of view, sometimes it does work certainly in your favour to do things that are reboxes and everything else. Classic example, the Hasegawa did the GR7 Harrier, and it was whatever it was, and then you know, Revel reboxed it and it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Wish you could still get it actually, because it's one of those things you can't find it for love of the money now, and worth a fortune on eBay. Oh. But yeah, but for armour wise, I don't know, does armour work the same way, Steve? Does a lot of reboxing?
Yeah. Ed recently been reboxing. Who made them now? Like their King Tiger and
the Tasker, Sherman.
yeah. But he does. All companies do it, and also the companies like Revel will buy old molds from companies that no longer exist and go bust. So you'll see that. I know Italeri have reboxed quite a lot of accurate miniature stuff, which are fantastic kits. Well, you know, there's other people have reboxed their stuff as well. So I think it's one of those things they should put it on the front of the box in the corner, reboxed. So I think totally wrong that they don't.
Apart from Airfix, who rebox their own stuff again and again and again, they should just be taken out and shot for doing it. But at least they are actually trying to fix the problem. But some of the stuff, it's like, really? Do we have to have this crap again? It was terrible in the 70s, and yet you're still doing it.
That's because they just want to see whether your skills have improved.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh. Your patience threshold's gone up a bit. As a kid, you don't care. Yeah, it's brilliant. Now you're like,
Post 11 is from Mustafa. Hello, I'm really enjoying the recent Typhoon builds. I managed to see quite a few of the modern ones at Riyadh a few weeks ago. One request, please do a tutorial on how to weather props in 30-second scale. Thanks.
What, 24th, do you? I've done a little bit of weathering on this one, to be honest. I've just dry brushed it with silver, very, very faintly. And then I'm going to add chipping to that as we make our way through. But at the moment, it should look like rain. Does that look slightly like rain on the props, on the spinner? I just wanted to have it look streaked back, sort of. Because let's face it,
I can see the streaks on it.
It's a blender on steroids, so it's not going to be, you know, it's going to get chipped, scuffed, and dented.
What if it goes the other way?
Well, it goes backwards. It becomes a boat.
Yeah,
that's it. So yeah, if only I could get it to spin on this kit. That's the question. If I could get it to spin on here, I'll be laughing. At the moment, it's in two modes. You've got stupidly fast, and it's going to kill some child at like the shows that we're going to take it to, obviously this year and next year, or it like looks like it won't start, and it's like. So never mind, we'll get in there. Don't panic; it'll be fine on the day.
Post 12 is from Tom Flynn. Evening all, my question has been answered about the clamps you use, but I have another question. I have sent some messages the past couple of weeks, and I know you are very busy, especially when you mentioned yesterday that you had over 150 to read and respond to. But do you know what the address is to send my donation to Snap is? Did you get the sticks? I
said, we're allowed to mention them.
Have you had chance to check them out? I would love to get your opinion. Thanks. Love the builds and the weather. The wealth of information you provide, Tom.
Right, Tom. I'm very sorry, but I have a confession. When I read your little message earlier that you wrote on here, I thought I'd answered you, and it's actually my draft file. So I never finished off the message. That was my trouble. So apologies for that, but I did get back to you on it. As I say, yes, they are a lovely little idea. My only concern is that the sticks sometimes could do being a little bit stronger, purely because when you've got your part on the end, you try and get it off, you snap the stick. So that is the only thing to it. Today I used them for the first time because I mentioned in the email to you I'm going to use them this week. I was going to keep it quiet and off camera for you, but seeing you pulled it up, we're good to go. But I used it for holding things like the ammunition in the weapon bays on here when I sprayed them up, and then also hand painted the silver and weathered them. Then I buffed them as well by using your sticks. Absolutely fantastic. I got 3-on-1, and you could take it off and put other bits on, and they worked an absolute treat. But as I say, my concern is obviously your price break with it and your bits and pieces. It'd be interesting to see how much they actually are going to go for. But from a modelling point, I would just simply say make the stick a little bit more better. It's just that sometimes when you're doing your spraying thing, I'm very much one of these guys that comes along and sticks it into these, okay? But a couple of the sticks I found the quality wasn't exactly brilliant. They were just a little bit thin. It may have been I'm lucky a couple that I had, but they did snap when I stuck them into polystyrene for being sprayed and things like that. But generally, I think they're very handy, very good for having sticks and everything else like that. And to be honest, Steve had a look at them when he was here at the weekend. And so did one or two of the 30-odd people here as well. Because we were looking at new items. Actually, you haven't seen that one, have you? Were you here when we did that?
No.
That's the new bendy tape. And everything else. So
this is what
I did let some of the members have a go at it. They've had a play with it as well, and the bits and pieces. And as I said, I'm going to play with it more this week. I'll use them to death, and I'll report back to you. As for snack donation, with the old thing down there, I'll have a word with the treasurer of Snap, and then I'll get them to send me the address, and then you can obviously make donations direct to them and do it that way. So it should work an absolute treat. So yeah, sorry about that. It was just that when we came on air, literally, I looked and said to him, damn, it's in my draft file still, because I forgot to send it. But yes, very good. So now you're playing with tapes on Buster, isn't it still? Oh, you had it off with you? You did have some on
there
there.
was a bit of tape here.
Oh, right, he was on Buster when because I had to go with him. I masked Buster with it. Yeah, well, that'll be the end. But yeah, we did have a play with that new stuff. This is Tamiya's new PTFE tape. I think we agreed it was in the end. It's literally like, well, actually, to be honest, we've even got a better one than Matt, because Matt was here. Matt is a car painter stroke restorer from, what's he called? 8 Ball Paint Shop. We'll do a quick advert for him.
Yeah, 8 Ball
restoration companies in the UK. He also does a range of model kits as well on eBay. But he was saying they use this stuff as well. So this isn't new. Again, it's another thing where a modeling company has decided to charge horrendous probably money for it, because they use it for pinstriping when they're painting it on cars, and apparently it's just the same stuff. That said, it does work. Because when you bend it around in circles, it doesn't crimp like traditional, well, that does, Jammer Dog and stuff, and thin tapes, because you press it down and it does give you a very nice curve. So yes, good stuff. I've got some on order still. We're waiting for them to come in the UK. But Andy Molyneux gave me that one to have a go. So thank you, Andy, because he got that one direct from Japan.
Okay.
So there we go.
Post 13 is Hacken. Hi, Phil. You once showed us how to strip paint from good old Buster. Now I have an old one where the colour has sort of fell off. I'd like.
Oh, you didn't stick properly.
Sorry, it didn't stick properly. So I can peel some off it. Any possibilities you have that clip on the site? Have a nice evening.
Yeah, to be honest, like 4 years ago, basically, Buster had a bath in IPA, literally, and he was a lovely model. He was a nice Crusader, available on the site still. But literally, he has met his maker now. You're right, you're having a sweat. Yeah, open the window, mate. So yeah, to be honest, it's probably lost in the depths of time. As you know, we do a show almost every day, and that was like 5 years ago. So doing the maths, it's a long way back in our history. Do you realise we've got over 1,100 videos on YouTube now?
Have you?
And don't forget, that's only because we've been uploading there for the last 4 years. Because before that, we had our own server, and we didn't transfer them over.
Right.
So that's actually a lot of videos. So yeah, I reckon we must be getting over 2,000 videos we've done there.
Can't just imagine if they went poof.
What? Viral?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking about if YouTube went poof, you'd lose it all.
Well, yeah, I have got them backed up.
Then we'll see you cry.
Yeah. But, he is. Again, if you have a go at the search on the site, it may be in there, because everything is tagged and done when I do it. So the chances are, if you put in like IPA, stripper, keywords like that, it does come up.
I don't think what you'd come up with.
Yeah, perhaps not put stripper. You know, like Ted. You're only 2 clicks away, don't say it, from a Google search. So yes, but I'm sure there'll be something on there like that. Where are we to?
Post 14, which is from Adrian Reynolds. Hi all, hope you all recovered now from your partying. I just wanted to say a huge thanks for the review and advice regarding the, I've got the word already, Steinal Res.
Jesus, I got a tattoo on your head.
That's still no. I was at the IPMS Birmingham show a week or so ago and managed to get a 120ml bottle of white for a reasonable £9.70. Having used it, I agree with those that used it. It's a great addition, and as I needed new primer, it's not like I have ditched an old one. The Badger stand will be at Derby show in the near future. If anyone is close by and thinking of grabbing
Derby, is that like Derby?
could be,
Right.
Same place, yeah.
but sadly they won't be at Telford due to brand clashes, as they put. Okay.
Sorry, keep going.
Keep up the great work. The information everyone provides on here helps novices like me every day. You are very welcome. We're glad that we can help.
Absolutely. Brilliant. So I was just putting this into position.
I'm assuming you're in a pitchy thing.
Yeah.
Which is for the next post, which is number 15, which is from Brett. Hi, gentlemen, and welcome back. First, thank Mel for the Flory bear. My daughter loves it. Here is a picture.
God, don't show Kenny.
And here's the picture. I think more as well, along with obviously looking at the lovely picture, is a nice stash as well beside.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good stash. Bless her.
I wonder if it all goes all the way to the floor, though.
Yeah.
Or do you at least put it on the
No,
side?
no, it probably goes to the floor.
Yeah.
It's a proper stash. Very nice.
A question for Phil. I was watching the video build of the F8 Crusader and assume this became the Buster.
True.
What brought him to such a tragic end after such a nice and difficult build? Thanks, Brett.
It did, because he got dropped and everything. To be honest, it was one of those things I needed something to test on. And in Buster's actually, the reason it was that all of my models I ever built until Buster were commissions and used to go straight off. So I used to finish them with you guys, so there they are, and then they go off to their new owner. Buster was one of the first ones, he was mine. So the poor git got used for demos. And I think one of the early ones was I spoke about, because obviously this used to have a separate engine like it shows in the video, and then I reattached it to show you could actually reattach it and put it back in. And then he was still, a very nice, Crusader. And I wanted to show back in the day, during the poverty-stricken era we were all in, about stripping back your paint job and repainting it. So I gave him a IPA bath, and literally stripped all the paint off completely, very safely, and was going to repaint it. I'm going to show that literally you can repaint it, redo your model, and upgrade them. And the idea was all your dusty models you got at home, you could then say, well, look, the skills are better now, strip it back without having to buy a new kit.
Mm-hmm.
But poor kit, it never got that far, because at this point then, I changed the format slightly. We were doing more demos. We were doing a lot more. We used to have the old news shows where you had like literally a situation where each week I'd do something on test. Well, Buster bore the brunt of it. And he became Buster at that point, because every time now we've done a demo, looked at, touched anything, it's had it. So bless him. He's had a hard
You
one.
did that at Telford, didn't you? You had a new kit and ended up using that as a
brand new
demo.
kit, and I used it as a demo piece.
And then lost something from it.
Yeah, that was a javelin, that was.
Was it?
Yeah.
I remember you saying something about it.
So, and that was it then. So the javelin, I've got a javelin with like no wings. Brilliant. Somebody probably walked off with it. That was the trouble, because it was a demo piece on the stand. Somebody thought, oh, they obviously don't want that bit, and walked off. So where I was going to give it an IPA bar, strip it back, and away we go, didn't quite work like that.
Did it?
No. But yeah, he had a very difficult birth, and now he's having a nightmare life in the afterlife. But then he gets to be on show almost every day.
Famous.
So, yeah. Even like this weekend, it was like, where's Buster?
Yeah,
So he got him out of the cupboard, bless him. So he's probably gets more airtime than any other model I've ever had.
Been handled well.
Yeah, and he goes to Telford every year. He gets used to standing stick demos, bless him.
First post on page 2, which is number 16, is from Josh. Phil, I bought a new pot of guns paint and it's coming out stringy. I'm using it with a new airbrush as well too. Should it be doing this? I gave it a good shake before use. Do you know what the problem might be?
Right, when you say stringy, are we talking from the bottle or when you're spraying it? Because it could be, and it slightly sounds like perhaps you're using the wrong thinner with it.
I'm assuming from what he's read, I would understand that it's coming out stringy from the airbrush.
Yeah. So I'm thinking sometimes if you use certain paints they don't like certain thinners, because sometimes like lacquer-based paints don't like true acrylics, and vice versa and things like that. It may be that you've got the wrong thinner with it. Some of them literally turn into glue. A good example is if you're using Mr. Surfacer and you put that through your airbrush almost neat. If you ever got Halloween coming up and you want to do cobwebs, it literally sprays, comes out like silly string, and it's like a brilliant. You can do cobwebs with it. I know, I did it.
Yeah, it took ages for you to clean up after.
It did take a bit to clear, and it does stain your paintwork, so don't spray it around your house. But it does work really well. But that is it. I'm just trying to think. If you do, I just can't remember which it is now. One of the extra acrylics, if you put a particular thinner with it, it turns to like bubble gum, really thick. Some of the Vallejos don't like some of the paint thinners as well, the particular lacquer ones. They turn, and what happens is they just gum up and go stringy and horrible. So I'm thinking it could be a thinner paint issue, mixing it together. I can't imagine it's just coming out of the bottle like that. Should be it. Steve, any thoughts?
Well, I'm just thinking if it's Guernsey paint, it's probably used a Tamiya thinner with it. Because I can't see any other thinner that would react with Guernsey paint to make it go like that. So I honestly don't know. It'd be better if we had a bit more information to work it out. But I can't see what thinner you could add to Guernsey paint that would make it go all funny. Because it's quite a strong paint, isn't it? Solvent-based
yeah,
paint.
absolutely. I could understand it more if it was any other video else's paint. If you were saying like extra acrylics is going thick. To be honest, I think it's Model Air, the white tops. If you put certain, like a lacquer thinner with that, it turns to literally glue, and you have to over thin it to get it to work and everything else. So I'm thinking it could be more of an issue like that as well. But say guns, let's face it, it's basically lacquer. So everything works with it. It's very hard not to find something that works with it. But yeah, if you come back and let us know if it's a thinner, what thinner you're using with it, perhaps we can get to the bottom of that one.
Okie dokie. Number 17 is from Jason Smith. Phil, happy to see you survive the weekend, and anticipating another great live show. No question tonight, just wanted to say thank you for the help in finding the chiseling tools. With the name of them, I was able to go onto the eBay, the eBay,
on the old Fleabag,
yeah, and find me a set of them. Thanks again, Jason.
That's all right, no problem.
Post 18 is Monica, or Monique, sorry. I was looking at the start and then just jumped to conclusions.
That's all your trouble. That's Friday night all over again. And it was Adam. He was in the male toilet, for God's sake. How could you get that so wrong? I'm not going to say anymore. What happened on Friday night stays with it. But honestly, you weren't that drunk. He had a smile. You certainly had a smile. It was only when the lights went up. Right.
Oh dear, it's just like Ghostbusters all over again. Post 18. Hello chaps, just howdy, and how are you all doing? Been so busy with work and moving house. More like relocating to Mom's Cave. That's the only thing my models have done is collect dust. Slowly getting things sorted out and home early enough today to catch the live show. Cheers, Monique.
Well, have you bought a hanger? I'm just thinking, might be better. You know, you could just have a hanger for your stuff. You know, if you guys who don't know, Mom's does this absolutely amazing slip storing scratch built stuff. It's truly amazing. Just on a Shackleton, this thing is like the size of a double bed flying off the side of a mountain. It's why you don't need a license for it. You know, you could literally get on it and just go for a glide at some point, because it is absolute monster. And she does amazing work. So
she certainly does.
Check out her stuff on the forum and everything else. And Mons, send us a friend request on Facebook. So I was trying to talk to you the other day and I can't get to you. That was the thing. So yes.
Perhaps he doesn't want to be friends with
Well, yeah, there is that too. It's got to be locked out.
Perhaps he's heard about
it's that again. Yeah, that's it. Absolutely, it probably is. But I was trying to show us on Facebook, and because you're locked, I couldn't get to it. So it's like terrible.
See, and now you're saying I was bad reputation.
See, terrible.
Post 19 is Rob. Hi guys, enjoying the live shows. Keep up the good work. Quick question: what's the best colour to pre-shade with when the base colour of the paint is barley grey. I think black will be too dark. Any thoughts? Cheers, Rob.
Yeah, I use black. Yeah, it is that thing. I say I don't use black as in black. To be honest, I use rubber black on this one. And yes, I did appreciate it all. I find it just works. It sets you up for the next level of weathering. For post shading, you can work with it. Works well, obviously, with washes and stuff like that. So from my point of view, I usually go in with a dark color. And then that way it's not as easy to cover it. That's the whole point. You don't want anything that's too subtle, because otherwise when you're weighing down your paint, it's very easy to kill it and go over the top. It's better to have it that it keeps coming back at you, so you need another coat just to knock it back. But have a look at the actual video on this one. I've used black on it with the barley grey, exactly the same colours we're talking about, and it works an absolute treat. So definitely one to be, thought about. I have done pre-shading with green before. Did that on the Hawkeye, just because I was proving a point that you could actually pre-shade with anything. As long as it's a darker shade to what's going on top of it, it doesn't matter. And I use green over white and light gold grey. It works.
What about supplies?
Don't know. Want to try?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said. So I'm
10 grand and you can try it. So, yes. A couple of rockets in it. Destroy my models back.
See if anybody dares me to do it.
Yes, this is it. Absolutely.
Post 20 is from Andy. Hi guys, hope all are okay. No question from me tonight, as I'm sitting in a tent in sunny Newquay with my iPad tethered to my mobile phone. And the wonders of technology. Just wanted to say thanks for a great time on Sunday and put me down for next year's barbecue.
I think we'll arrange the parking different. You weren't here by then, were you?
No.
Yeah, we had a bit of trouble with the wing mirror. It's a thing.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh.
Some twat took his wing mirror off, shall we say. Some unscrupulous dickhead managed to knock his wing mirror off, which is amazing, really. So, yeah, wasn't happy about that, but there we go. Well, me.
Are you sure?
Positive. No.
Sure you didn't get your gun out?
No, there's a car going down the road. John got shot in the leg, though.
He did.
He did.
He did.
So, yeah, on the upside.
And it wasn't me.
No, absolutely. Adam, that's the name that keeps giving.
Normally it's me, but it wasn't me this time.
No.
Post 21 is from Alan. Hi Phil, Sid, Steve, and all fellow Flory members. Good to see you all had a good time at the weekend, even if for some of you the end is still weak. But Adam looked lovely.
He did.
No question, and no chance of modelling, as we had 35C in Berlin today and going up to 39 on
I did
Friday.
see that, yeah. They're in a real heat wave over there, isn't it?
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I must admit, I went to work with that in the passenger seat. And I'm thinking, I'll just put it in the office because it was getting a bit tad warm in the car. And I thought if the sun gets on it, it might get a bit warmer. So
I did.
yeah, took it out of the car.
Yes. I must admit, years and years ago, I think I've said this story before, but moving house when I was young, and I built the Puma, the big, is it 24 scale, Matchbox scale one?
Right.
And finished it. And for safekeeping, I put it on the parcel shelf of my mum's Ford Sierra.
Okay.
Bearing in mind this was circa 1983. And obviously, hot summer's day, when I came back out to get my model, the blades had gone straight off like that. Just melted completely flat.
I think you mentioned it
Yeah.
last time because you were doing the how to bend the
How to
blades.
bend, yeah. So
my pasture shop.
that's it, absolutely. But definitely don't try that at home. Don't leave models in hot cars. Or dogs.
Or definitely not dogs. Definitely not dogs. Humans, yes. Dogs,
Yeah. Leave your granny in there, she'll be fine.
22 is from Dave. Hi Phil and guests. Just a quick question. Have you noticed a change in your tube as their symbol to view through the app doesn't always show on your videos top right of the picture? No, not there for tonight's show either. Into my second year of my subscription to your fantastic site and members, and still loving it.
Right, thank you. Yeah, YouTube's playing around with their player at the moment because I noticed the one before we came on air when I did the check. That's why we didn't check it tonight. We could have been talking to ourselves for the last God knows ever. But I checked before we came on, and instead of saying like please stand by and all the rest of it, it's a totally new player now. It's got the old shows all down one side and all stuff like that. New one on me. So yeah, I think it's just YouTube play around, and then obviously they get some feedback, and they tend to change them weekly at some point. So yeah, not the best idea in the world, but as I say, if there's a problem with it, a big time, then obviously we'll try and sort of walk around or try and get around it. But we are really governed by YouTube now because we're just using it. When it was our own server, we have control over everything. We could do everything to it. But now it's sort of YouTube. It's pretty good. Normally it works.
He's put another post straight afterwards, and I was starting to panic because it said no picture.
Oh right, yeah.
And then I read the rest of it.
Right, okay. This could be more to do with the fact that it's the actual player itself is live streaming, so you can't adjust the quality. It's more of the quality of our cameras that me and Steve are using, which is set by default to 720. So I'm hoping that works. And at the moment, it is telling me we're in HD. So, and Steve's coming up as HD. Just back to Steve as a quick check here.
Oh, bless
There we go.
him.
Steve's HD as well. So we're all HD quality. So hopefully we'll be all right. I know ours is a bit blurry. That's because we have the camera further away and it doesn't know what to focus on. So it usually focuses on the interesting stuff, which is here, as opposed to us, where we're blurry and over.
My Little Pony.
Penny's Pony. Nothing wrong with that.
Indeed not.
Pride of place.
Indeed. Post 24 is from Gareth. His first post.
Welcome, Gareth.
Evening, gents.
Although he's been a member since February.
Oh, well. Evening, gents. Quick question. I'm using clear. At times I get cracking.
Is that a champagne bottle? Steve just popped open the bubbly.
Hey, it's up this way.
What's he drinking over there? Very posh, isn't it?
Wait for it. Out comes the big bottle. And at times I get cracking. When I say times, I mean every time apart from my C-file. Is there a limit of either the amount of layers and time between coats? And what's the best clear to use? Thanks.
Yeah, the trouble with clear coats is that it's very much dependent on where you are, what needle size you got with your airbrush and that. I've learned this because some people have a fantastic results even with just spraying normal like Johnson's clear, neat from the bottle and put it down. I speak to other people that say, oh no, I always thin mine slightly, I get better results with it. I think it depends on needle size. When you're down to like 0.2 that I use, it's probably a little bit thin for putting down a clear coat. You might want a bigger needle, like a 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. You'll get a nicer finish for a more glossy type finish than you will, purely because if you imagine, it's the old hose pipe trick, okay? You got your finger over the hose, on, squeezing a little bit out. You've got a high pressure jet coming out there. Whatever it's hitting really hard and all the rest of it. If you're letting off more, you're letting more water through. It's more a case of just flooding down the area and you'll get a smoother, nicer finish with it, okay? So you want that small for doing detail work and getting in there, but if you're doing a large area like glossing and clear coats, you probably want a larger needle. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there have an airbrush just for clear. I have one just for doing lacquer work. I tend to use the Iwata. It's got a slightly bigger needle in there. Lacquers, I think, prefer it as well. And that's got the 0.35 needle in that one. And it could be worth me having an airbrush for doing clear coats with like a 0.4 needle in it, and doing it. But the trouble is with all clear coats, it's one of those things, it's very finicky because of like the temperature, humidity, needle size, and obviously what the medium is. So if you're using like clear coats like Tamir's clear coats and everybody else's, and Metallizer clear coats and all things like that, they're all going to be slightly different thicknesses which are affected by needle size, temperature, humidity and all those things. So it's a very hard one to just say I would go for, okay? But in my experience, a 0.4 needle would probably put down a clear gloss coat better than a 0.2. Okay, and again, warmer conditions tend to dry things slightly better, slightly faster. Obviously, more humidity slows down the drying times a little bit. If it's very dry where you are, obviously it's going to hit and dry, and then you get more orange peely and stuff like that. So if you want to avoid the orange peel and stuff like that, definitely a bigger needle size. It'll just give you a smoother, nicer coat generally with all over. You know, I've got a lot of gloss work coming up on the next 2 builds. Admittedly, they're only areas this big, and I was talking to Matt about it. Available from 8 ball. No, I can't do it again. But he has sent me down. I've got here the Ducati Red, which is the genuine article, and we've actually got the Red Bull Blue Micra. The colours. Okay, so these are colour matched to the genuine article because these are actually automotive paints. Okay, so with these ones, like he was saying, probably not the best idea to stick it down with a 0.2 needle. You probably want to go 0.4. It'll give you a nicer, smoother paint job than something else. And that goes exactly the same with using clear coats. Because to be honest, after it's all done, he's also given me, very nice of him. We've got down here, we've got the thinner, the activator, and the lacquer coat as well. So we've got all the paints you can actually imagine for doing all of this one and everything else. But as he's pointing out, a bigger needle gives you a smoother finish. So I'd be more inclined to up your needle size than start playing with ratios.
Okay.
So long-winded question, I know that.
So if you've only got, say, for me, with the one brush, that's 0.2, would turning the pressure down make any difference? Air pressure?
Obviously, you need a certain amount of air pressure to get it out and atomize as you're going to go through. That's the trouble. You know, at the end of the day, as I say, if you could go with a bigger needle size, I would do that. If you're on one needle, then yeah, turn down your air pressure, thin it a little bit more, and then obviously that will give you a slower flow. It's not that pressure over the nozzle, and then because it's thinner, it gives you slightly wetter, longer drying time, so it'll have more time to level.
Okay.
Steve, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I do it same. Like for Sid, I would get yourself 0.4 mil needle set and nozzle set to go with your airbrush. So when you do put your gloss coat, your clear coats down, just swap the needle and nozzle over and apply it that way. I noticed Gareth mentioned cracking. Quite a lot of the time with cracking, it could be that you've put your clear coat down too early and the paint hasn't fully dried. If you don't fully dry, your top layer will crack. So make sure, I usually, whatever paint I'm putting down, I like to give it at least 24 hours before I put a clear coat down, just to be on the safe side. So yeah, get your drying, make sure you allow plenty of time for each thing to dry properly. Yeah,
absolutely. Because say when you start getting the cracking, as we've covered it, I think only a couple of shows ago, didn't we? We were saying about. I think we've all had it at some point, and as I say, it's that eggshell effect. You know, you think it's dry, it feels dry, but actually deep down, it's still soft. So as that's drying, you get shrinkage and crackback. So as soon as you're overcoating, like I talk about it, because I did it with the Thunderbirds, and I put the decal on the bottom over a gloss white, which was, if I remember rightly, it was the gun stuff. And obviously we know that takes longer. Back then I wasn't using it very often, got carried away, thought it was dry, put the decal on, come down in the morning, it looked like crazy paving because the paint had continued to dry, but now the decal is like, you know, just cracked and shattered, and it just looked like crazy pavement underneath. I had to paint it all to get rid of that problem. So yeah, as Steve quite correctly points out, drying times are also something to factor in between your coats.
Okie dokie. Post 25 is from Hacken. Regarding the return of ordnance, I would say that you load up an aircraft, then go up for say surveillance. If nothing happened and you had to dump it, then it would end up being very expensive. They return it, offload, and the next one who needs it gets it.
Yeah, that's what we were basically saying, wasn't it? And especially like, you know, with the more mods up, World War II, I think everyone thought it just came from a factory and it got put on and goes. Yeah. But as you say, going from like just from cart to cart, storage rack, stuff like that, they're going to get cracks, smacked, chunks out of them and all the rest of it, just generally through wear and tear. So definitely.
Post 26, Simon Webb. Phil, you are a great bloke, despite what they say.
That's charming.
Your tip for removing the wash worked a treat. I will remember that, especially as I completely forgot you mentioned it on your recent Eurofighter build.
Oh, that's it. He was even watching the Eurofighter build and then still comes back and says about it. Hey, look, at least I show it when it doesn't come off, and it's like, God, it won't come off. Never mind. Plan B.
jolly decent of you to share your knowledge, oh boy.
No problem, old chap. Carry on.
Post 27 is from Paul. Hi Phil, said Steve. I hope you're all well. I need to buy some filter, but what one would be best for small seam line gap? Oh, filler.
Filler, yeah, that'd be the one.
Need to buy some filler, but what would be best for small seam line gaps? And I'm building an Edard 48 Mark 8 Spitfire, and after I put some paint on it to check if the seam lines are good, it revealed all the gaps. As I'm trying to preserve as much detail as possible, I was thinking of something like Mr. Surface, but I'm not sure what one I should buy, as I believe there is 3 different types, as I would like something I can paint on with a small paintbrush. All the best, Paul.
Right, okay. Multiple ways of doing it. If you're doing something with lots of detail around it and you don't want to wreck it, to be honest, one of the good ones for that is the old plastic perfect plastic putty. Okay, this stuff's water-based, so you can just literally wet a cotton bud and rub it off afterwards. Like all fillers, though, you're going to have shrinkage and the various bits and pieces that go with it, so just be aware of it. Plan B, after that one, stick this on my shelf, is to watch the Eurofighter build, because this had a lot, and I mean a lot of filler, and I covered it and I showed about this horrible, nasty wing root gap that has down here. It has them on both sides. And I tackled this one in 3 different occasions using styrene. I didn't have a problem because I didn't have, like, you know, loads of riveting to worry about. So I could just get in here, sand it back, next coat, sand it back, until I've now got a completely seamless both sides join down there, and then all I did was pop in the actual panel line behind it. But if you want to see about actually using like liquid styrene, that's the perfect one to see it. I use it all over that one. We do the intakes with it. Well, I just use that one all over it. Okay. The other option, okay, is to use Mr. Surface stuff. So obviously you get your 500, I think it's your 1000 and your 1200. By its nature, that's the thickness of it. 500 is obviously going to be your best for doing that type of work, but again, you have to be very accurate as where you're putting it down. You want it to be too much as well, so a bit like I talk about on there, actually have it so there's a mound of it, so it allows for the shrink back, because when it shrinks back, obviously it's just going to go down, and if it's less than you've got, you're going to end up with still a trench. You're going to have to build up the layers and go through it like that. But definitely you could use the actual, like, I don't know where mine is now. I think it's up there somewhere. I've got a bucket of it somewhere. But Mr. Surfacer used to be my chosen way. To be honest, I use my one down here. I've got a very, very thin brush, although I've got a lot in here. I've got a tiny little brush, and I literally come along, and I used it on this guy as well, and we just tap it in where we want it, and then afterwards a little sand on the top, and away we go. The reason I love this stuff so much is, one, it's cheap. And it's plentiful because you've got tons of it around you. You never run out of stuff. But also the thing is, you can place it down, tap it into the area you want it, leave it, okay? Do as many coats you like, but when you come to refill and, like, you know, for riveting and for rescribing, you don't have a problem because you don't get the sink. You know, when you go along and it's soft and you drop in, you know, you don't have that trouble because it is the same as the plastic. So when you go along, you don't even know it's there. And you don't end up with, like, suddenly, you know, we've all done it, where you're sanding and you filled your area, then you put your panel line in and you go into that said gap and it goes right in twice as deep as your normal panel line. So you never have that problem. And also from a strength point of view, it's stronger than the original plastic. So things like that. Steve, what would you do?
Yeah, I use perfect plastic putty, especially on wing roots and where the tail meets fuselage areas like that. I do use liquid styrene, and also I use super glue quite a lot. Definitely, I've gone off using Mr. Surfacer and other fillers like that. Tend to be too much hard work. If you don't want to cut down on losing a lot of detail, don't forget to use masking tape to cover over detail, and you can get your fillers in a lot more accurate. Then just quickly peel your tape off, and then it's only filled in the area where the masking tape
areas. Yeah,
so that's good work.
Yeah, absolutely. But I must admit, I'm the same. I used to use it all the time. You know, that was the way I used to do it. Just build up your layers. But because of the shrinkage problem and the time, I must admit I've moved away from that now, and I tend to use Liquid styrene is my #1 go-to. And to be honest, both of these have got it. I haven't used any other filler now in the last few builds at least. So, but yeah, everything has its little place. But sometimes, you know, you just get used to using something
So
else.
occasionally I use the Valero putty, the white.
Yeah,
the
what
white
really one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I must admit,
Occasionally I use that if I want it to be quite accurate. That's the one.
I did use it to try and do his knobbly warty helmet. But the thing, so I actually was putting drops of this on,
Right.
and then letting it somewhat dry, and you put your finger on it, and it just made a mess of it. And I just couldn't get it to work. So I ended up, say, a bit like Steve doing super glue blobs. So I had a bit on a cocktail stick and just put dots of super glue all over his helmet, and he's got like a lumpy helmet now. So
Okay.
steady, all right. We had this joke when I put that video up the first time with his warty helmet.
Post 28. Steve, what are you doing to him? Don't look all innocent.
What's he doing, warty helmet?
Post 28 is from Stephen. Hi Phil, Sid and Steve. I have ordered 2 kits from the Kit Club. When they come, you can use them to do a review if you wish. They are the main model 35th MG TS-08 Soviet TS-10M heavy tank.
Right. This is the new kit, yeah.
And the main 35th US Cougar 6x6.
We've done that one, haven't we? Because Steve, that's the one Steve had, wasn't it?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Yeah, we've done the 66, but we haven't done the TS10 yet. And to be honest, we have got a couple of those coming in. Not just for him, we've got a couple of the members who bought those because it came out last week.
Fair enough.
So yes.
Post
It'll
29.
be in tomorrow, by the way.
Post 29 is from. See, always a day before I'm here. It's never good enough. God.
So that's because normally they get ordered on a Friday, because all the week stuff goes in on a Friday. Then they dispatch it today on Monday, or do the picking of bits and pieces, and then it usually gets to us on a Wednesday.
We might have to swap to Wednesday then.
Yeah, well, the Wednesday
So I
live
can have
show,
a nose.
just so you can nose through them all.
Post 29 is from Paul Hart. Hi guys, any chance of a tutorial about making water as in a sea diorama?
Brilliant. Should we do it live on the show? Water dioramas with Sid. It worked very well, mate. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, well, it's in there.
I was going to say.
Did it all run out the bottom? Did you have a leak anywhere?
The wood seemed, even though I sealed it twice,
Hmm.
I poured it in there and it still seemed to soak it up somehow.
Right.
Because the thickness of that isn't that thick,
Mhm.
even though I poured a lot on
Well, it's a
it.
good job it's not much deeper, otherwise his anchors would be in the water. So I think you probably got that about right.
So yeah, so it wasn't bad. It was, I'd say, for my first attempt of doing the amount of detail on the ship, I think it's
All your
quite,
photo
quite
X,
happy.
wasn't it? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's very good on that.
I'm quite chuffed with it. I just need to find a case now to stop it from getting dusty.
Mm.
Because the other half, bless her, she's already whinging about the one that I've just left on top of me display cabinet.
Yeah.
It's catching the dust all the time.
Or the carrier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's an half one anyway, so I'm not fussed about that. But ideally, I want to try and get like a little plastic perspex or something
Mhm.
covered just to go over the top of it, just to stop the dust.
Right.
I imagine her coming along with a duster otherwise and going, "Ee, look at this!"
Or the Hoover.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Nozzle on the Hoover.
yeah, probably.
Goes your photo X. To be honest, I'm no good at water. Well, I'm not no good at water. I don't do water. You know, I do muddy puddles and fields. You're the water expert.
I don't know about
Because you
expert.
did your excellent one before, so we'll do a water diorama with Sid.
I can.
Can we have some
I'm
like
sure we can find something.
waterfall coming off a
I don't
nice
know about
mountain, coming down, cascading, hitting some steam at the bottom.
2 little figures.
Couple
having
of
a
figures
shower,
washing their hair as they flick their hair back. You know, the arc of water. I'm thinking
because they're
too
worth
much
it.
at the moment. Yeah, a bit too much, you reckon? Or
It is a bit
we
too-
do that in 2 hours. It'd be great. We can just put you there. I'll talk here, and you just get on with it. Fine, you'll be absolutely fine. Can't see any problem.
Post 30 is from Malcolm. Hi folks, quick question. Did you have aircraft hanging from the ceiling as kids?
I wasn't allowed.
I had them hanging as an adult.
Yeah, he still has, if we're
I have
honest.
no more.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed as a kid from my point of view. You were Steve?
I don't think I did. No.
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 No. I must admit, I had well, my parents had their wardrobes in my bedroom. So like 3 quite large wardrobes, and all mine lived up the top there gathering dust. And it got to the point where I wouldn't say I was a prolific builder, but I had them like stacked on top of each other. So none of them had like wheels left or anything there, or aerials or anything. I don't actually at that point. I don't think I actually started out with that either. But certainly, yes, I wasn't one of these guys who used to hang them from the ceiling. And I had daughters, so they didn't want them hanging in their room either. So that was about it, really. That had gone out the window. So no, I didn't, unfortunately. We ought to have a poll. Did you or didn't you hang your models as a kid? And how many made it before you smashed them down or did dog fights or shot them with an air gun?
Or walked in the room, forgot, and banged it up.
Yeah, walked in. Yeah, jumping up and down on your bed and you clip one.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
First post on page 3 is from Roland. Hi Phil, Sid and Steve. A newbie.
Yeah, he's newbie, third post.
Yeah. A newbie in modelling and airbrush.
Ah.
So yeah, newbie completely by the looks of it. A friend of mine sewed his total kit of airbrush device with 2 large boxes of paint bottles, about 150 boxes of Rebel Aqua Color, and about 150 bottles of Rebel Airbrush Enamel Color. Which ones are best for modelling aircrafts? Is the best to learn with, and are there things to watch out for with dry brushing and washing?
Right. Okay. Well, how do you put this? Probably best to bin the Rebel Aqua Color because it's horrible stuff. It's okay for hand painting, but to be honest, the thinning ratio for it through an airbrush is truly horrific. It's something like 99.8% thinners to be able to get it through an airbrush. It is very thick. It's great for hand painting. Airbrushing, not so. I don't think it's really designed for it. It makes, air fixes stuff look brilliant. But I've only tried it a couple of times, but it spits, it's a bit cloggy and all the rest of it. So they're not exactly the brilliant ones to start with. If you were starting out with airbrushing, I would recommend going with something like a Model Air or a Tamiya. Okay, so at the end of the day, you've got your Model Air range of paints. These are the ones with the black tops. I know obviously you've spent a small fortune already, but if you just buy them as you go, you will find these so much easier to use. These are already pre-thinned, but a couple of drops of thinners as well will really make a world of difference. Very easy cleanup as well afterwards. A couple of bits of drops of airbrush cleaner. Their own airbrush cleaner is perfect. What I use all the time. It's clean. It's less hassle, and away you go. Your other option, obviously, is to move straight into something like Tamiya. Tamiya XF colors. They're the ones you want to go for. They're designed for the aircraft. They're aircraft color based and all the rest of it, such as the Model Air range, obviously. But again, 50-50 mix with Tamiya airbrush thinners, which I haven't got here somewhere. And then obviously you can use below airbrush thinners in this one as well if you wanted to, things like that. They are the 2 easiest to get on with. They are very straightforward. You don't have any trouble with spitting, clogging, stopping and starting and stuff like that. So they will work far easier than a complicated, shall we say, airbrush, using like aqua color. And what was the other one? The other one was a aqua color and airbrush. The air enamels. Enamels, again, they're a little bit of a, I used enamels for years. I switched over to acrylics. You tend to be either an enamel guy or an acrylic guy. As I say, it's horses for courses, just starting out. Personally, I always say that acrylics I find easier. They're just easier to clean up, work with, and generally just working with an airbrush, it's just a less hassle, less smell, and all the rest of it. Have a look at the basic airbrushing videos on the site. So go to the tutorial section. When you're in there, click on the one that says airbrushing. You've got a series of videos in there. I think there's around about 5 or 6. They're half-hour or 1-hour videos, and it's literally the idiot's guide to. Have just a skim through of those, and that will give you an idea, because I talk about those like I used to do the airbrushing courses, and it's very much along a similar line. So I show you about simple techniques of literally loading up your airbrush, firing it down, simple exercises about using your airbrush, and then we talk about different ways of painting your model and things like that. But that's it. Have a look at that one first, and then bin your aqua colours. Unless you want to paint your house, because I reckon you could use it like artexing, because And I've still got 2 bottles of it down there.
Have you?
Yeah, got
Got
to
the
be done.
red that you wouldn't have been given of.
No. Well, I might need some red. You never know when I might need to, like, I don't know, paint a letterbox or something. Lighthouse.
Post 32 is from Dennis. Evening, gents. Phil, do you have any experience with white metal undercarriages? I've read that the white metal is inferior to injection molded parts in regards to strength, and some sets are simply copies of the kit parts. I've chosen to change the undercarriage on my 32nd Kitty Hawk OB10D to a metal set because of my last 32nd F16. The kit's nose gear bends by itself from the weight of the model. Shall I stick with plastic gear or go for white metal, or try to strengthen the metal parts internally by adding steel rods? Love the live shows. Keep it up.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna get flamed again for saying it, but there is. Oh, okay. I'll be more discreet this time because I'll get told off for doing it. There is a certain company on the market who blatantly all they do is copy kit parts in white metal. To the point you've still got the same ejector pin burring and all the rest of it in there, which annoys the arse off me, because if you're going to rebox something, at least have the decency to polish up the part before you actually try and flog it as your own. If so, I would personally. It depends on the model. For instance, me and Steve, we're on this one because Steve's built this particular one in front of me, and you may notice this thing is like a death wish waiting to happen. I've been doing the wiring on it today, and I've knocked it a couple of times, and every time I'm expecting it just to fold, because the undercarriage is truly a diabolical piece of engineering, because it's not only is it a thin bit of plastic, it's literally a peg and a hole system to it. It's like a square peg goes into a hole. So all that strength is like compromised. It's not like it's like a good section and you put a solid rod up into something. It's a tiny peg with a small hole and it's just waiting to fall out. There's a company called G Factor and they do a replacement one, but it's in brass, I do believe, Steve. Is there brass?
It's brass, yeah.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. It has been cleaned up. I don't know if it's a direct copy or they've just obviously cleaned it up and done it all, but it's so much stronger than what's in here, okay? Because it's not only just the bit that goes up, it's a little cross section in it, so it generally beefs up the entire undercarriage and gives it a far more strengthened look. A lot of models as well, you might struggle with weight, okay? So same thing you're saying about the F16, the nose is bending. Most 132nd kits, the trumpy stuff does tend to come with that metal rod that goes inside it. That tends to help and stop a lot of it. But again, sometimes it's worth getting hold of a decent metal kit, undercarriage. G Factor do some great ones. I know their stuff. I've used it in the past. It is good quality stuff. Okay, so I would recommend using those. Certain other companies, just be aware that yes, it does look like they've just cut the bit off the sprue, still got the peg mark on it. Stick it in a mold, cast it off in metal, and they just then flog it to you. So really, all you've got is the same part, but it is in a metal. Now, is that metal any stronger? Technically, it should be, but it depends how that metal attaches to the undercarriage. So if you're in a situation where it's a crap join between the two, if you've got the metal and you've got the weak part, is still going to be the plastic it's going to go into, you're still going to have the weakness there. So you do have to think about how it actually you're going to attach it to this. This particular one under here, as I say, it just is terrible. It's just a lot of weight on something that's a very small part in here. The only thing I thought about doing was actually gluing the doors to the actual underside of the wing. There isn't much of a gap, and I don't think you would notice, and then that way you'd have the strength then between it all. But you know, as I say, I would have loved to stick a G Factor set in here, and if I'm honest, I haven't overglued this in there. I've got enough if need to cut it clean out and put the actual G Factor one in at a later date. But you know, I'm a great believer in no, don't overcomplicate. You don't need to buy certain things. White metal undercarriage is one of those things where if you think it's going to be a problem, then perhaps do something about it. I've known other things, particular one nasty kit I've built in the past, which was actually the Hawkeye. This is the Collar Air Resin Wonder, the Aero Bar as I call it. That was a particularly horrible kit because the white metal was so rubbish It was crap, okay? That when the weight of all that resin, and it was a lot, I can't remember what it was. If you look at the video of the photo build, I've got a pair of scales, and I think it's on like 3 kilos of resin on this, or 2.5 kilos of resin all told up. What happened was, it just uses undercarriage like an F16 on that thing. So you've got one, and it's like on a T. This one here just bent up straight away, and that was white metal, because it couldn't take the weight. So I ended up taking that bit out and drilled it, and I actually had a steel piece of going through, circular bit of tube metal going in there. I did it off of that to, you know, beef it up. And then, to be honest, because it was still pretty crap everywhere, I actually had a clear piece of acrylic rod on the belly, and it took the weight, because I knew the undercarriage just couldn't take the weight. So that's the trouble with these things. What do you reckon, Steve? Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, start with a Typhoon. Mine's presently laid on its belly because it just gave way, and I hadn't had the undercarriage on probably a couple of days. It just wobbles, constantly wobbles. Yeah, some of the larger kits, you have to kind of think, have a look at the engineering, how they've engineered the undercarriage, whether you need to go for replacement. And again, with your replacement undercarriage sets, it's a thing where the more you spend, the better you go for a brass one. Like Phil says, there is a company which is a junior rank in the Air Force. That's all I'm going to say. That is blatantly rips off, and you can tell when you touch their sets, it actually bends quite easy, so I stay away from them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as you say, it's very difficult to know when to replace sometimes. My rule of thumb to any type of thing, if you're going to replace something on your kit, it should be better than the kit part.
Yep.
Okay, so some of these more inferior sets, shall we say, that are out there, truly are just copies of the original. So there's no real point, and you're not going to improve on it. To be honest, the G Factor ones, they do look very nice. You know, they're obviously been cleaned up. If they are just copying the kit part, they've been cleaned up. They look very nice, and obviously in brass, it's really strong. You know, they're a good looking part, and you can do something else like that. But as I say, do your homework on it first. Ask in the forum as well. If you're thinking, is this undercarriage going to stand up? Then, you know, ask somebody. To be honest, I've got the Intruder and the F4 sat up there. They've got the wire inside them. You actually have 2 halves of plastic, so you have like a piece of metal, like a wire in there, and they go around. I built Academy F18s, they do the same thing. If I remember rightly, the Tomcat does it as well. You're never going to have a problem with those. They're absolutely fine, so you don't have to worry about it. If I remember rightly, the Harrier is all plastic, and that's fine. You know, it's nice, thick, heavy-duty gear because it's sort of naval. I think the trouble is when you get into this realm, especially with Airfix, really drop the ball. It should have a metal system in for this undercarriage, because it's a bit like a Fokker Wolf. You know, you just know it looks like it's about to break on it. It's just so thin and spindly. It needs something beefy in there. I would have liked to see a metal system go up that locks on to, like the real thing. You've got that front wing spar, which is beautifully detailed. If you had a system and it went up and then locked into it, it would look a lot better, instead of having this multi-part rubbish going down there, which, okay, is following the real thing, but it is an accident waiting to happen. So yeah, that's my thought to it. I'm just thinking, I'm pretty sure the Tamiya, so I'm sure you guys will, you know, come up and help me on this, but I'm pretty sure the Tamiya and the Mustang both have the metal system in between them as well, for the Spitfire 32nd one and the Mustang and 32nd from Tamiya. I'm pretty sure they've got metal wires inside them as well, just to beef up the undercarriage. Can't remember, it's been a while, but I think they do. And yes.
Okie dokie. Post 33 is from William. Hi guys, great show once again. Love watching. My question is, I can't work out if that is a light reflection from the back of Phil's head or whether there's a bit of thinning happening there. LOL.
That's one thing I don't have to worry about.
I seem to always cover up my appreciating. Any tips?
Okay, well, first of all, I'd just like to point out, there's no way this is fading. If I let it grow, I'm like an extra from the Jackson 5. Right, anyway, appreciating. My basic tip is go and watch this video. I speak about it in this one. When you put down the colour, if you're in one of these situations where you always wreck appreciating, thin your paint more. okay? That way it's harder for it to cover because you're just making it more translucent, okay? So then that way, when you're putting it down, it's harder for you to flood the area and lose your pre-shading. But rule of thumb, and I explain it in this one as well, and I show it on the belly, you put the paint down as thick until it disappears. When you lose the pre-shading, you stop, go elsewhere, because then what happens is, as the paint dries back, the pre-shading comes through and it gives you the correct level. That's my way.
Okie dokie.
But you say thin it a little bit. So if you're using like Model Air, just give it a couple of drops of thinner into it. If you're doing your standard 50-50 mix like I did with this one, then, you know, go for more of a 60-40 mix. So go 60% thinners, and that way it just thins it a little bit more, makes it a little bit harder. It won't affect your painting, it just takes you longer to cover it.
Must admit, I do thin mine. I'm not.
Yeah.
Especially with glue.
Yeah, yeah.
Post 34 is from Dan, who's answering Josh's original post, which was about the guns paint coming out stringy. Josh, Dan is saying that he had the same problem using Mr. Surfacer 1000 over the weekend. He used the guns leveling thinners, and it still came out with spider webs. He found that it was not simply not using enough thinner. He lives in the East US, and it has been brutally hot the last few weeks. Not sure if that's obviously was a key factor. Once I thinned about 3-to-1 ratio thinner to paint, that solved all my problems. I hope this helps. Send me a private message if you have any more questions. P.S.
What are you doing? You're usually with us. Whatever you're up to, pack it in.
Yes. Also, make sure you mix the thinner and paint well. I find stirring the paint to be more effective than shaking in a bottle.
Yes, absolutely. I think, as you say, it sounds like temperature, things are a lot thinner. Look, these guys haven't seen you for ages. Last time I saw you, you were like this big. You're certainly a bit bigger now, aren't you? This is Lollop the puppy.
I'll give you
Eats everything. Yeah, look, say hello to the audience. No, you look like just woken up. I know we're not going out. Right, bugger off, you're too early. Should have shut you out.
Post 35 is from Paul Selwood. Hello, Phil, Sid, Steve. Had a great time at the barbecue. Those boys from up north are a great bunch, and that median Keith should be on a live show with Steve.
That's it. On, yeah, we should have you and Keith together. I think we should get Keith down with you. I mean, it can be me and Sid and you and Keith. Absolutely. No problem, Paul. Great to have you down. Hope you got home safely.
The Academy.
Well, obviously did, otherwise you wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
No, good point.
Unless he's doing it on a mobile device.
Yes. Trapped in his car, upside down.
The Academy Phantom I bought off you looks a great kit, and Phil, you didn't give me a party bag. I got home and realised I had no sweets to eat. I hope you don't forget the sweets at Telford.
No, we've got tons to take up to Telford this year. Nobody ate the Love Arts this weekend.
I had my party bag.
I have
Not
mine.
that helps.
I was going to say, to be honest, I had my party bag editing yesterday. That's right, everyone. It's just full of sweets. Thank you, Lynn. That's John and Lynn.
Yes, thank you.
I would do it publicly here. I'd like to thank, obviously, Lynn and John were amazing down here. Dave and Trace, they went beyond it because Dave did all the cooking and Trace. It was brilliant, absolutely fantastic.
And Dave won the task of getting a blackjack in my mouth across your decking.
Did he do that?
He did.
And it didn't take more than, what, hour and a half?
It felt like
It felt like a long time. Anyway, which obviously
you were
Lauren's now
watching.
enjoying eating those blackjacks that missed. She's digging up my decking trying to get to them all. But no, thank you. And obviously thank you to everybody else who came down, especially for all the girls who helped out. You know, it was absolutely fantastic. So
good team effort.
it was, bless him. Poor old John, he was still washing up and everything at God knows what time at night.
Yeah, I done some drying before I left because I felt guilty.
Did you?
I did.
Right.
Me and John was washing, I was drying.
Oh, right. Bless you both. But no, thank you to everybody who helped out. It really made a massive difference, especially to me, because then I didn't have to clear up a lot afterwards.
Like you did last year.
Yes.
Which was quite amusing.
Yes.
2 o'clock in the morning trying to tidy up.
Well, yes. Drunk.
It was quite amusing.
Absolutely.
And then we had to go and wake Adam up, me to get into bed.
All right, it's quite
Different
different
story.
that.
Post 36 from Thomas. Again, only his second post, but he's been with us since April. Hi, Phil, Sid, and Steve. I concur with Paul Hart's post above. Is there a chance of a tutorial on creating C for your ship diorama? Like the destroyer model on the table. Thank you very much. I think it was Sid who built that one, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Sid could do the tutorial.
I think he should. So well done, Sid. You've just been nominated to do the tutorial. We'll get him doing it.
Any chance? Question mark.
Yes, lots. 2 weeks' time, live on the show. You can sit here. I'll set up all the big cameras. I'll sit there and you go for it, live on air.
Yeah, imagine that.
Here's what I did earlier.
I'll be a quivering wreck.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, you'll be fine. You know, they say throw you in at the deep end. You'll be fine, everyone.
Great show as always. Best regards, Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas.
In a picture thingy, but I think it's more of an advert than a model. It's from Ben Morgan. The new Flory models now that Flory models has a teddy bear and My Little Pony. When's Phil going to do a Flory customized Berry Guy Gundam?
Oh, very good. It's a bit different, isn't it? It's like a gummy bear, like, you know, he's about to kill you.
Kapow is all that's missing from that picture.
He's Bear Guy 3. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's a bit like a spooky one, isn't it? It's like, yeah, would you give it to your kids? I don't know. I'll give them nightmares. Probably. You're all right. Only the Japanese.
And it's only in 144 scale as well.
I don't know what scale he is. Always makes you wonder on these things. Bit different. As for, I can't remember her name. Penny, you're going to have to message me and let me know her name. This is lovely Penny, who we had here stay with us, who was only 4, 4 going on like 44, bless her. But absolutely delighted. She was an absolute pleasure here. She was a little star, wasn't she?
She certainly
and
was.
She wanted to see, I've got a feeling her name was like Rainbow Princess or something, on the live show and on the vlogs and everything. And so she, bless her, left her. So could you be on the show? So that's why she's here. She's not a new product range, because obviously that might just be copying My Little Pony. And we're not like other companies. Hey, get that one in. Who would blatantly go out and copy another company because they can.
Post 38 is from Hans. Hi, Hans.
Look out, the boss is in.
Indeed.
Look out.
Please have a look here on the extensive notes on how to best use Mr. Hobby Color range of paints, and he's put up a link. And I believe that was something to do with.
Is this his Harms's super smooth paint dust-free finish thing?
It is. Yes, it is.
Right. Okay. That's a good point.
Techniques for that super smooth and dust-free finish we all desire.
My question is, if he's on here, why isn't he on the screen?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
absolutely.
He posted this. Hang on.
You could have just popped in. The link's in there for the team to do it, so you could have actually just popped
refreshing
in.
the page. 34 minutes ago, he put.
Did he?
Up.
Right.
So
stiff words with the forum group build editor.
That's because he's getting too carried away with his pile of mud.
Well, yeah. Has he finished that section yet? It was looking particularly good when I last saw it.
From what I can see now, he was doing something with the basement.
Yeah.
Because he'd done all the leveling off.
He's got his Hurricane bomb shelter World War III system finished.
Oh my God, he's been a busy boy.
I know. I've just noticed
Post 39.
Yeah.
32 minutes. Spider webbing is due to the paint drying in flight towards the model. Additional thinning and/or additional retard will solve your problem. Have a look here, and he's put up a link.
So you see?
And that's for the same thing. Techniques for that super dry, dust-free finish.
Absolutely.
And I'm not putting any more comments in there about the additional retard to solve your problem.
No, I wasn't going to do that one either.
Good.
Otherwise, we really will get in trouble for
we
it.
would. Post 40 is from Mr. Adam Raw. Or is it Mrs. Adam Raw?
At a point, I could change his membership title, couldn't I? What? I have to say, I was actually talking to Mr. Raw on my phone. So you guys who wonder who he's yapping to, I was actually talking to him on here.
Now.
Bless him.
So, right, okay. Just reading it before I actually just tried reading it. Hello, Philip and Sydney. Ooh.
Yeah.
Having woken up on the morning of the barbecue, I noticed myself a few of the members had a problem So my question is, what do you recommend for removing eye makeup?
Well, various options. I find personally that self-leveling thinner particularly works well. Or you've got, oh, there, what's that new stuff? Yeah, this is the one. This one you want to try, Adam, Extreme AK's Cleaner, which I find if you just splash it all over and then don't smoke for a month, that would definitely get it all off.
Make sure your eyes closed.
Yes, make sure your eyes closed. But actually, was it Rob still the next day walking around with it on?
I think both of them were.
They both were, actually. Yeah.
Well, thank you, I think.
Bless them.
On Hans again, post 41 is a response to Dennis.
Hiding at work.
Sounds like you are referring to the SAC style white metal landing gear.
I couldn't say that.
Yes.
Other white metal landing gears are available, of course. And obviously the thoughts and comments made by any people related to staff or whatever are their own, and nothing to do with the company.
Exactly.
Quick disclaimer in there. We also have that at the beginning.
Yes, some are just exact copies, and the 30-second tool ones are really better than straight. Ernie G of G Factor has come out with the 30-second A10 and D hard brass versions. Get some of those. They're more accurate with more detail, provide the strength you need.
I think that's what we were saying as well, wasn't it? It's definitely something else like that.
Post 42. Paul Selwood. Hans mentioned spider webbing as paint drying in flight. I was always thought that was spraying too close to the surface of the model and too much paint at one spot.
I know, different type of thing. We're calling spider webbing is where it's like stringy going towards them. Spidering is where the actual spot of paint gets blown and it gets like legs coming off of it and it looks like a squash spider on your model. That's the difference between the two. That's where we get a bit confused there. But yeah, Hans is talking about technically, because the medium is a liquid, if it's turned into a solid, i.e. stringy, and that's what we're saying about, you know, cobwebs and stuff like that, is that that's just because it's literally dried airborne and it's got nothing to
Post 43
yes.
is Hans saying exactly that.
Oh, right, okay. Right.
Spider web or cobwebs, or aka cotton candy, is the kind that is caused by drying in flight, paint to dry. Spider runs are caused by too close up painting, and the paint has not had a chance to dry, and the air is pushing the paint around the model surface. Post 44 is from Gavin. Hi guys, first post.
Welcome, Gavin. He registered 9 hours ago.
Oh, so he did.
Well done, mate. That's actually got to be a new record here on the site that somebody's actually been on and registered.
Exactly.
I've never even seen it said that he registered 9 hours ago. Wow, I didn't even know it was that accurate.
Well, there you go. Is there a good method to get a burnt out effect on armor? Oh my god.
Petrol.
On the weathering side, you're really looking at black and start with that sort of effect. And then you also have to hit it with greys and whites to simulate the ash. The metal around it would probably quickly oxidize and go rusty, so you want rust colours. And you need to think where the smoke would go as to where you've got to put the smoke, pigments, your blacks, dark greys, and also the ash will probably fall towards the bottom. So you have to think how the fire would have been. Try and find some reference pictures, which is always a good start, and replicate that. But pigments is probably the best way to go on that.
Okie dokie.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hans is saying he's hiding at work.
I did, I just saw that. Yeah, true.
Page 4 is from Wayne Hillman. Hi guys, another great show. Just a quick one for Phil. Are you going to have Adam dressed up as a Flory girl at Telford this year? Thought she looked stunning.
He did, bless him. Yeah, I don't know, he might like scare the children.
Richard is post 47. Hi Phil and Sid. just putting together the trumpeter swordfish. And have you got any advice on putting the wings together when they are not folded? Sounds like you had an awesome weekend.
You did. As I say, there's a lot of alignment issues with doing the wings, but apparently it's easier to do them not folded than it is folded, because they sort of lose the geometry. You just put the wings in and do them that way. If you get hold of, I think it was the Edard set I used mine, you can get the actual wire system for it, because it's already shaped. It's not like you've got to put the rigging in. So you just literally click it in, and that will help sort out your geometries and all your bits and pieces. The trouble I have with mine is because obviously it's not attached to the plane, you get a lot of like lateral movement side to side. So it's making sure that was square in the folded position. When it's on the plane, obviously you've got the midsection, holds it and does everything else like that. But you can actually buy the Edard Do It, the photo etch set, and that has got all the cross things pre-done. And that will stop all that problem. But as you say, usual thing with all your biplanes and everything else, just get it square. Make sure you're square before you attempt to then start gluing it in the bits and pieces. If you've got a jig, that is even better. Something else, get it all jigged out, square, centered, aligned. All your joins are good with the wing system and everything else like that, and then start to do your bracing work and all those things with it.
So I thought Lola was chewing on the cable.
Oh yeah, well that would have been good.
Yeah.
Conk.
And lucky enough, she wasn't. I don't know what she was chewing on, but she stopped.
Oh, well, anything knowing her. Socks, people, small children.
She's enjoying my feet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she likes feet.
We're up to date by the looks of it.
Are we? Brilliant.
Yeah.
Look at that for timing. 4 minutes short.
I've just refreshed the page and we're still on the same.
So, right, that's what I just
Number
did.
47.
Myself.
So, yeah.
Well, that's all very good, which is handy because I've only got 6% on my battery as well.
I've got still 52 on mine.
Oh, that's you plugged it in and we thing out there earlier. Right, absolutely. Well, well done, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for your good questions.
Good questions tonight and everything else. Luckily, we got through them all.
Yeah, hopefully, we've answered all of them rather than skipped one or two like you did on your own.
I didn't actually. It's a refreshing error. I just went to the next page and it got left on the other one. You're never going to let me forget that now. Didn't skip it. It was just that I refreshed. It was on the next page.
I'm not going to answer that one.
Well, look, it's all right. Send it again and we'll do it again. The rest of it. So from me, obviously, this week you're going to be getting some more of this. Obviously, tomorrow, I think it's the next part of one of these. Will go up tomorrow. You've got that one on. Thursday, it's back to proper reviews. I've got loads of reviews here. I've got the reviews on the tool chest coming as well, and the bits and pieces, and then Friday onwards. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the medals will all be in tomorrow. If not, it's going to be Thursday. So then by the time Sid's done it all, posted them all, we've got hundreds going out. They'll love us down the post office that day. And everything. Are you right? She got hold of you properly, is she? That's it, though. Put him down. You know he's been.
Rather than me bending over, I'm holding with my foot.
Oh, right. I thought she had hold of you.
She's having a belly rub.
Fair enough. So we're going to get those all out to you. We get all those sorted and everything else. Obviously, we've got some group builds and various things running at the moment. We've got the new Run Silent, Run Deep one. So we've got your sub things going on there as well, and all the bits and pieces. So that's it.
Just a quickie. Mark's put up a post. Hi, Phil, Sid and Steve. Sorry, not a question. I built the Mervica for the group build and had to source some more chain. I bought 52 yards, really cheap. And if anyone needs to send me
52 yards.
this is how it turned out once paint was applied. He's put a picture up. It really looks quite good.
Hold on, I'll see if I can find it. It's our passing shot.
It is.
Tell me it's at the bottom of the page. And it's on the next page.
Page 4 on the 48.
So it's the next page bit.
You haven't refreshed it. So.
Oh,
you're still on page. You've only still got 3 pages.
Oh, right, hold on. I can't see around the corner.
Ah, that's the kill.
Get him low.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Right, hold on.
There you go.
All right, okay, hold on.
Dun dun dun.
Very nice. Yeah, that worked a treat.
Indeed.
No, really nice, that one. Came out very, very nice. Very, very nice. You see one. No, as I say, finding the right scale chain is a nightmare. So he's obviously got a little bit left over. So if anybody would like some chain, get in contact. 51 yards of it, like crikey. Is that the smallest amount they would do, or did you just think, well, it's only a fiver?
52 yards.
We're at 52 yards of it. I can obviously do the garden. if you ever needed it or something else like that. So, yes, brilliant job. Right, well, that's about it for us for tonight. As I say, thank you very much for joining us. Pleasure as always, and we'll see you again in another week, 2 weeks' time. Big thank you for Steve, the Armour God.
Thank you, Steve.
For joining us, answering all the questions and everything else. So thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you, Phil, for being here.
Thank you for being here this week, bothering to turn up instead of playing with Little Mix
I didn't
on
want
MTV or Little Mix, all come here.
I'm sorry, but their outfit was much more appealing
I
than yours.
bet it wasn't. You can see what I was wearing under here. Right, I'm going to leave you all with that thought, everybody. So until 2 weeks' time for the live show, I'll see you on the vlogs all this week, and we'll catch you later, everybody. Bye.
Take care. Cheers.
Bye.